Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Cantor's Corner. This week, we read in Parasha Chayei Sarah, also known as the life of Sarah, in fact, about her death first. Avraham goes to find a burial plot for Sarah, and at the cave of Machpelah, the owners of that parcel of land wished to give it to Avraham for free. However, Avraham insisted that he pay the full market price for that bit of land. After burying her and mourning for her, Avraham then turns to one of his servants and requests that he go and find a wife for his son Isaac, which, as we know well, turns out to be a successful endeavor. What we see here is that Avraham confronted a new reality without fear or remorse. Avraham took the time that he needed to mourn, but right afterwards, Avraham did what had to be done and still treated each and every single person he came across with dignity, even so much as to go above and beyond the societal expectations. He recognized that despite his situation, life has to go on. And so he made preparations for the future by ensuring that his son had a wife to keep alive his family for generations to come. On November 9th, we as a nation had to confront a new reality. Whether we like it or not, the citizens of our country who were able to voice their political voice, which is a different issue in of itself, made their decision, a decision that we now have to acknowledge. Some of us met that decision with joy and with celebration, while others of us met that decision with trepidation, fear, and grief. Regardless of our political persuasions, I firmly believe that as citizens of this country, we have a duty to act like Abraham. For those of us who feel the need to mourn, take the time that you need to and mourn for your loss. At the same time, please remember that there are those who don't feel the same way that you do, and that's okay. For those of us who do not feel the need to mourn, please be aware that there are those who do, and that's okay too. Once Avraham was done mourning, he focused on what he could do to ensure a positive future, rather than focusing on what he could not do. In this instance, the change that Avraham was able to make was to go and find a wife for their son Isaac. And he did not focus inordinately on what he could not change, which was the fact that his wife was now dead. I believe that we as Americans need to act accordingly. Instead of focusing on what we can't change, such as the outcome of the election, let's instead focus on what we can change. Let's continue to be a voice for those who have none, for the Native Americans who are protesting against a potentially poisoning pipeline, for African Americans and Hispanics and Latinos who are disproportionately being incarcerated and killed on the streets, for women who are being denied equal pay for equal work and the health care that they deserve, for our Muslim brothers and sisters who are being persecuted for their faith to such a degree as to fear for their own safety, sometimes for their own lives. How can we be that voice for change? I implore you, call upon your federal representatives and senators. Several congressional staffers have come forward stating that individual letters or emails will never cross a legislator's desk. The only way they'll pay attention to you is if you literally make your voice heard by calling them. Us Jews were once among those people who had no voice. Our ancestors were denied employment immigration rights, citizenship, and safety simply because of their Judaism. If we're not careful, our fellow citizens, and maybe even us, could suffer a similar fate. We are blessed to live in a country that values free speech and whose government grants its citizens the right to have a say in how the government will serve their needs. Much like how God spoke to create the world, if we want to create a better world for ourselves and for our children, we too need to speak out.